Hey guys, it's Bull. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope you guys are doing awesome. I just wanted to do a final tier list for Tekken 7 because I have been um, getting some messages, and some people have been like talking and asking me to do an updated tier list from what I did like 2.5 years ago, and it's been high time I do this, and I just wanted to. The reason I'm doing this so late is because I wanted to gather more data on the characters and play them myself as much as possible. So take these, but still take these this tier list with a grain of salt. You might not agree with everything, and also it also is based on some of my own experiences as well. And also, I will take some referrals from some of those pro level players as well. But I will take into account some of the online environment as well. Some, not all of it. Most of it is going to be offline environment. Here we go. As you can see, I've already started some of it. The reason why I did it because so that I have some defined tiers already, and there are some characters in those defined tiers, so I wanted to do that. Starting off, we have Akuma. Like I don't think I need to explain him any more than anybody else has explained him, but I'll just say, ridiculous damage. Um, Breaks a lot of the Tekken, codes, and I'm doing it in quotes here. Laws. Has a 10 frame launcher when he has meter. That's an important point, by the way. People just say that, oh, he has a 10 frame launcher. It's not all the time. 10 frame launcher, he can mix you up anytime, unforced error, especially at the wall, he's disgusting. And then you go Feng. And the thing is, what Feng is, I would sometimes say that he performs even better than Akuma in certain instances because Feng doesn't have the limitation of execution because Akuma is pretty much dependent on the player's hands. That's why you don't see, apart from like 3 or 4 Akumas, you don't see many Akumas like in competition level play because anymore, especially the only Akuma player that's has won anything recently is Atif Butt, and that's because it's just such a highly demanding character. But with Fang, you see a lot of Fang players just like in top eight still, and that's mainly because he's just so easy to operate, and he's also a very good counter pick and a pocket character, and that's because it's so easy to operate, and he has practically every tool that you need, whether it's mids, highs, lows. He's basically this guy has so many moves that could go into like top 5 moves of every other character. That's how good he is. And the same can be said for Jin. He's another example. I think there's no character more perfect than Jin in terms of like having everything in the entire game, whether it's punishment, wall carry, damage, pokes, 50-50. Like he has pretty much everything. The only thing is he is oftentimes like exactly like Akuma, he's held back by execution of people, and that's what holds most Jin players back. But at the highest level, like for example, if you want to do the best punish at -12 lows, you want to go crouch cancel 2-4 or -13 lows. You want to go crouch cancel 2-4 in order to get a knockdown or a wall splat. So that's a very essential skill, and it's really hard to do. And so there are like some things with Jin that in order to play him at the highest level, you do need a certain hand, and you need experience with other players as well because his parry, like once you master it, it's broken. But in order to use it effectively, you also need to have a good indication of how you when your opponent likes to press. So if you're playing somebody on random, he might not do really well in pools, but he's a really good character when you get into like top 16 or top 32. I'm talking tournaments specifically where you know the people that you're gonna fight against and you have fought them before and you have an idea of how they go about their business. That's when Jin shines. He's a really good character. Um, I would say Claudio and Kunimitsu. These two round off my top five. This is my top five. I know there might be a lot of eyebrows raised, but with Claudio, like best made of the game, back one, probably the best war game in the entire game after 2D characters like Eliza and Akuma, probably the best war game in the entire game. um, because you have easy back one wall splat, 14 frame safe wall splat, because you can confirm it, and then you have a plus frame chunky low that you can apply pressure with because people are so afraid of getting out of the wall because of back one or ducking. So he's just so good. Kunimitsu, the thing with Kunimitsu is she's very cheap. She's extremely cheap, and Tutu is busted. Um, but if you can deal with Tutu, and if you can make your opponent hyper focus on it a little bit, um, she does suck in the lows department a little bit. That's her only weakness, and not the reason why she's not an S plus. Otherwise, she would have been an S plus. It's like her lows. You have to commit. You have to commit. A lot of her lows are like launch punishable as well, like key lows. Like if you want to do the sweep, so you have to go for a down back 3-3 low most of the time because that's, and even that one is kind of risky. You can get low parry on if you get first couple of hits block. It is a good mix up and it has good mind games. But in terms of lows, like her best lows come from either crouch or back turn, which can be a limitation in itself. A really good character. Top tier has a lot of evasion and a lot of setups that you can utilize. And the good thing about her is she can switch from gimmicks or setup or knowledge checks, solid fundamental gameplay. That's her biggest strength. That she can do both. She can approach both. Basically, if you want to pull a win out of your ass, then Kunimitsu is your character. And speaking of pulling wins out of your ass, we have Marduk. So we all know, like you're losing. You're like 70% down, 80% down, one down, 4-1, and boom, you kill the opponent. So that's because for all of Marduk's faults, which is slow, a bit of a slow character in close range, can get bullied in poking up close. But for all of that, when he does get going, he he's the best Oki in the game, apart from probably Akuma. He has the best Oki in the game, and the ripple effect that he creates by just launching once, it's just terrifying. It's like it's Akuma, Marduk, and then it's probably Kazuya when you talk about the best Oki situations. These are the three characters that instantly come to my mind. So he's just so good. The damage is still busted even after the throw damage nerf. It's such a busted character. And the things that he does good are so busted. There are certain weaknesses, especially in the fast poking department. Um, let's see if there is any other character I would like to put in S. Geese should be in S. High damage, really high damage once you have meter, but he is limited a lot because of the final nerfs that he got. Mainly because like it's me personally, like my own personal Geese gameplay was so reliant on down forward 2 that when his down forward 2 was nerfed, it created like a giant chasm in his gameplay for me. The sidestep 3 nerf was deserved, well deserved. Each a sidestep of 20 frame low should not be counter hit launching. That was just stupid, especially considering it's plus on block, plus on hit. So and it's only minus 12. It was stupid. So that nerf was deserved. Even the parry nerf was deserved. So, but the downfall 2 nerf really did hurt his neutral game because he needed that instance that his meter buildup is really slow compared to Akuma and Eliza. So he needed that counter hit game, and now his main two he does not have any safe counter hits. Magic 4, it's a slow 16 frame Magic 4. Yeah, it's homing, but as I said, it's slow. So a lot of the times people can sidestep. Sidestep ducking is really good against Geese for that reason now. Before it wasn't an option, so now sidestep ducking can get him wrecked in some situations. Um, but yeah, like he's still really strong though. With Geese, it's always like this. Even if you lose the first round, as long as you've got a meter coming out of that one, you're still good. And if you win a round without using a meter at the start, you're basically probably gonna win the game. So that's why he's still S tier. He's just so good. Any other character that I would like to put in S tier um, is I think these are probably the S tier characters. Where is Zafina? Zafina. I would like to put her in S tier. Actually, I really want to move her down to A plus because I feel like Steve is another like character that I feel like it's too strong for his own good. But I'll keep Zafina at S because she has a bit, just because of the movement and the evasion. Um, she does get a lot things that other characters don't. And Asa Nash has proven how good she is. Like even now, like she is beatable though compared to these other characters. More beatable. Like if you can play solid Tekken against her and you know good anti Zafina and you're knowledgeable about her stances, you can actually get her. But her neutral play is still very solid. Backdash is really good. Sidestepping is really good. So she's still pretty awesome. Um, which other character? I'll put Bryan here in A plus. I'll talk about Steve now. Steve, he's the character I hate the most in the game. And that's me biased, but I'm still not biased enough to put him at S plus. So that's one good thing. But I just hate this character because he's just so safe, and he's safe while doing the most ridiculous things in the game. The biggest thing I hate about him is how he will he will apply pressure on you, and you will either try to step him and back one will catch you stepping, or while standing one will catch you stepping. And thank God they nerfed the down forward two. That's the one move like where you can, if you call out the down forward two, you can actually step now. That's the only reason he's not in S. Otherwise, he would have still been in S for me, because of his down forward two nerf. But from that nerf, he also got a very decent buff in a sense that he used to struggle against characters like Zafina and Shayu because they used to go under him a lot. But with that down forward two getting a lower hitbox buff, that doesn't happen too often either. So that's one good thing as well. All in all, like a very very solid character. Like he's just so safe. Like and the higher tournament gameplay you go, like the safer you can get, while getting damage out of your opponents and getting counter hits and spacing them. Like it's the best that you can do in that situation. Oh yeah, I found my other S tier. I was like, yeah, where is it? Okay, Noctis. It's kind of weird putting him in here. I wouldn't even consider him top 15 like a year ago, but testing him myself recently, I especially tested him before doing this tier list because I wanted to see like why is he so good, and yeah, back to his fucking retarded part of my language. It's just the point about that is I used to be of the mind that he's not top 15 because he does not have a down jab or a down or a new or a generic low, fast generic low or a fast down jab to get out of pressure, which is still true, but back to offsets a lot of that weakness, and then it also provides him something else. It provides him with a move that's such a low commitment move that it's safe. It's still you still have, if you do it tip, you still have a bit of a distance with your opponent, so you can backdash out of some of their fast pokes, and it's -9. But the main thing is there's probably no other fast safe mid that gets this much damage. Back it's 35 damage. So if you hit a person 5 times with this move, you actually kill them because 35 multiplied by 5 is 175, and that's the total damage you have in Tekken. So if you are able to hit up an opponent with 5 times with this move, just hitting them 2 times like almost brings them down to like, it actually brings them down to 60%. So it's 20% damage every time you hit your opponent with that move. Just that move alone just moves him up a tier. Before I understood how good that move was, I would have always placed him at 15 or best. And then you have the best with punishment in the game with down forward 2. One of the best mids in the game, 4-1 plus 2. Like it's all purpose super mid like King's 4-1. And we should get to King as well. He's pretty good as well. But yeah, he's just so good. And he deserves to be here. And also considering the fact that a lot of he does have down 2, people often forget that low you cannot low parry it, and it's really important in a situation where when people are doing low commitment lows, where they're not too minus. A lot of the times, the best way to deter an opponent from doing a low is low parrying them. But because that low cannot be low parried and it has a follow up, so you're also like for fearful of doing a punish. It becomes such a good like tool just because he has weapons that you can't parry regularly. There are certain characters like Geese who can parry, but that it still doesn't change the fact that he's such a good character. I'd say Jin is a good Jin. Jin has a decent time against him because while running 1+2, 4-4-1+2 stuff like that, where he creates his pressure, Jin can like if you have a good parry on you, then you can actually blow him up a little bit. So there is that. We go to Katarina. Katarina is so she's so good. She has pretty much everything, and she's so easy, and she has high damage. I think that's probably all we can talk about. And she has an 11 frame Magic 4 on top of it, like the fastest Magic 4 in the game. A double hitting hop kick, which you can sometimes even like hit confirm. There I've seen people hit confirm it. And there's so many safe counter hit tools that she has. It's ridiculous. I've played her and I've found it so easy. And her back one is underrated, like because her main issue with some of her other moves is like if you do too many moves, it's hard. People can get ready mentally for the Harrier, but with just the one single poke back one, she can go into Harrier and start pressuring, and it's a safe mid as well. So it's with the follow up. So you always have that threat of, oh, okay, he might finish the move, or he can go into Harrier, and if I do a jab, Harrier one can crush my jab. So there are so many things about her in that regard. Like she's so good, and deservedly so many people are actually now you're seeing her a lot in top eights now. That's because she was so underrated for a long time, but now people are seeing her value. For A plus, the main his main weakness is he has to be really up close to hurt you, especially, and he has to have you at the wall to hurt you most of the time. If you can keep Paul at range too, he's not that threatening. But people talk about, oh, death fist, 3 death fist can kill me. But yeah, like he has to make you commit to blocking a low, which and it's a big wind up for the move as well. It's fast move, but you have to the quarter circle forward into it, so it's not an easy input either, in especially in pressure situations. So, but I'll just mainly say he's a terrific character. Just has a few weaknesses in terms of like his best game is at the wall, but apart from the wall, like if you can keep him at range, he's still like he has some weaknesses. Li Chaolan. Okay. Li Chaolan. I hate this character. It's probably the second most hated character that I have. Probably the third most. Like Feng could be the second. But the reason why I hate him is because he's basically Bryan with poking. If you think about it, he has all of the counter hits like game that Bryan has and more. Like he has a low counter hit launcher as well. Bryan has a mini low counter hit launcher, which is 20 frames. He has 15 frames. Yeah, it sometimes has some hitbox issues, but it's not that hard to pick it up. Like I picked up Lee for like a week and I got him to Yaksa, and it wasn't that hard to get consistent on the down three counter hit launcher. Like it was like I would drop it here and there, but I could say like if somebody's playing Lee for like years, and they're committed to the character, that thing becomes second nature. And not just that, like the only thing sometimes can hold you back is like all of his like because he's a character who has a lot of potential pickups and follow-ups that are sometimes hard, and also the combo damage is more. You get more combo damage with more range, like with more wall carry. So small wall carry, he has doesn't have as much of damage threat that other characters have. So that's why I'd say he's still A plus. But he has every counter hit tool. He has he has lady-like evasion. Like if we talk about female characters having evasion, he's right up there when it comes to evasion. 444. He's even his downfall one. It's the most evasive downfall one I've seen in the game. Like I legit had a mid crushed by his downfall one today. It was Geese's downfall 1-4, and he crushed the second hit, which is a mid, with his downfall one. So it's just a stupid ass card. But he has some weaknesses in the damage department, and also like some of the hitbox issues can hinder him, and also he has some execution requirements as well. So yeah, A plus. It's still Bryan. I'd say Bryan and Lee are pretty similar in strengths. It's the with Bryan, it's like some of the same issues. Like he has a better war game than Lee because of Torn, and also he has higher damage output, like on closer range to the wall. But where it goes wrong a little bit for him is his poking. His fast poke. He has to rely on his jab pokes a lot because his mid pokes, like down two, down forward two, um, they are the fast mid pokes. They have abysmal tracking. They have to commit. Like if you're doing down forward two, you often have to commit to either the high or the mid, and the higher level you're playing, these kind of commitments they can add up, and if your opponent your whiff, um, catches a whiff of these commitments, and they can like nail you down on your habits, it's game over. And also a lot of his pokes like moves, he does have excellent tracking on some of his moves, and he does track both ways on some moves. Like for example, his hatchet tracks one way, and his quarter back two tracks the other. So you can, so it's never like, if somebody, people often ask me, oh, which side do I sidewalk or sidestep Bryan, and I tell them it depends on the move, because there's no general sidewalk or sidestep rule within, like oh, step Katarina to the right, sidewalk Katarina to the right, sidewalk Kazuya to the left. He doesn't have that hard and fast rule. Sometimes sidewalk left will be good if your opponent is doing hatchets and down forward ones. Otherwise, sidewalk right would be good if your opponent is doing a lot of uh, forward threes or quarter back twos and down fours. Then sidewalk right would be better. So yeah, he's like that type of character. He has a lot of linear fast pokes. That's why he sometimes struggles. Jack of all trades. Nah, but he suffers a little bit in the mid canna hitting department, but 441 takes care of that for the most part. It's not because it's on normal hit, he gets a knockdown and chunky damage, and it controls the spacing so well, and it's almost impossible to step as well, because of the forward input, and just because of that one move. And then you can create so much doubt in an opponent ducking, and then you can annoy them with his fast blows, which are mostly safe. Yeah, he has 4 safe blows, by the way, and which are annoying at AF. And then he has a lot of gimmicks as well. People say, oh, he's a very honest character, but he has a lot of gimmicks. um Gimmick, or I would say knowledge check moves that you can sometimes use, to, when opponent is worried about more moves, they're more likely to get hit by your the moves that you're, it's like the art of distraction by magicians. You distract them with the gimmicky moves, and you hit them with the hard hitting moves that you want to get hit them by, while standing two, down forward two, forward one, forward two, counter hit, down back one, crouching lows, so many things, and has a perfect throw game as well. So he's a very solid character. Um, let's see who else could I pick up here. Law, A plus. It's the same thing with like characters like Jin and Akuma, etc. Is like it depends a lot on the pilot and how good your player's DSS cancel is. The better the DSS cancel, he can probably even move up to S tier. But because it's so much reliant on that one cancel being so perfect, that which doesn't happen in theory most often, I would say like he's just A plus. He has pretty much everything: great magic for great strings, good punishment. Probably the easiest with Punisher in the game, 3+4/4, with good range, not too much damage, but with the DSS cancel, you can still get decent chunk. But yeah, good character, and deserve the A plus spot. Heihachi, solid A tier. Poking, he's probably one of the only Mishimas that can just play the game without even sometimes doing an electric, because his pokes are just so, he still retains pressure on a lot of his pokes and mid pokes, so you don't need the threat of electrics unless you're trying to punish people with electric, like with a whiff punisher or a block punisher. You don't really need to like spam electrics to create pressure, unlike a certain someone. um so yeah, he's a very good character, and with the added range of the down forward one and one, he's really good. His main weakness is his characters that have some form of like mid crushing or low profile stances, because his down forward one's hitbox is very high, and when your main fast mid check poke doesn't track well on the bottom side. A lot of the times it happens is like my favorite interaction or my least favorite interaction is when I'm playing this character against Anna, which I would also put in A tier, and her Chaos Judgment stance just fucks this character up so badly, because your main mid, you would say, oh, I can do down forward one to check Anna. Nope, her forward roll goes under the down forward one and launches you. So your main tool then becomes, oh, I would forward three you, but then forward three is so slow that you can get hit by the forward, the high that has that on natural hit gets her almost 60 damage, or even above that, because she gets a full 14 frame double slap into the hell sweep, um if that hits you. And then yeah, then your only recourse becomes that you have to make sure to sidewalk her or sidestep her at very precise timing, which can be really hard. But yeah, she and that's why this is, I would say just two words: coin flip and chaos judgment. Like, she's so good at coin flipping. She's probably the best coin flip character in the neutral. On Oki, if you include everything, then it's Kazuya. But in just standing and in the neutral, like, she can just crouch and just launch you. So it's very good in short sets, and a very good character in that regard. Nina, I'd say B plus. She's a very good character, and but with her, the difference with her and Anna is that she has a bit more of an execution requirement, and also her downfall one not having as good a tracking or range. She does have some range issues compared to Anna. With Anna, there are a few moves which can cover range, but she does experience some range issues in her fast pokes. Um, but she does have good whiff punishers and decent lows. Like, she on all means, by all means, she's a solid character. But yeah, there are some limitations there. Bob, A plus character. It's like he's like the Mishima you always wanted. He's not even a Mishima, but he's probably the best Mishima in the game. Because I'm not counting his Jin as a Mishima, he's a Kazama, so that's why. So he has good Weibo mix up, a lot of safe pokes, good strings, good lows, good movement, good sidestepping for somebody so fat. He has pretty decent sidestepping. But yeah, he's a very solid character. Hwoarang, uh, this one is hard because I've put Anna in. So he could be B plus as well. He's just a very he's a solid character, but he has weaknesses. He's weak to, if you know the anti Hwoarang matchup, then he is weak. Like, if you know how to handle a Hwoarang, and you can get their timing on their pressure and break their pressure, you're able to break their pressure and step their shit, then Hwoarang players can struggle. Um, Master Raven, I want to put her in S, to be honest. She's so freaking good. Uh, Probably one of the best back ten, probably the best back ten game in the. It is. She has the best back ten game in the game, and then she has ungodly damage. Like, she almost does 2D damage, and her combos, she does a lot of damage from low range as well. Like, for example, let's say you got a launcher at the start. When you get a launcher at the start, you get to the wall, you have your opponent as at 45, 60% health, or 50%, for example. If I launch my opponent again, with any other character other than probably Akuma, I won't be able to kill them. Um, but she would be because her low travel damage is so good. Just like, launch with her, do a couple of times the high float move, the back turn 3+4, do it a couple of times. You can actually do it 3 times almost, like at the end. And then she gets really good wall splats as well, just off of her wall carry as well. And her wall combo damage is still the highest in the game, apart from some specific guaranteed damages like Katarina's 443, or or Kazumi's uh, fly 3, etc. Like apart from these moves, like she can just do her normal combo and get just so much. She's a really good character. And I'm putting her in S tier because of her, just because of her combo damage, and she has a really good punishment, and she had with punishment especially, and she has a 14 frame while standing launcher, which can be really important in a lot of these instances. I kind of noticed that a lot of the characters I have in the higher tiers have 14 frame launches on the while standing, except for Lucky Chloe. But yeah, we'll talk about her again. But yeah, she's a very good character. Very, like, I'd say A+ to S. Like you could move her down here, but I would say like she's probably slightly stronger than Steve, so I'll put it there. Julia. Mm, yep, S tier. S tier character. She has the same limitations as Jin. Perfect character, can do almost anything. It's limited by the player a little bit as well, and that you have to know which specific situation, which perfect move, I'm saying that quote unquote, will work. So you have to, and she has to rely more on her crouching game. So because of that, sometimes it can be hard, because with Jin you can do most of his game with movement and you don't have to crouch. But whenever you have to crouch with an opponent to get their best game out of them, um, you do lose a lot of frames there. People don't realize it, but in crouching you do lose a lot of frames. And uh, and when you're doing up close fast poking, that does matter. But her 441 is broken almost, and she has an 11 frame magic 4, which is technically punishable, but has follow ups if you were afraid of getting punished. Nobody punishes it anyways, but yeah, it is punishable. It's -12. Uh, just so you didn't know, and she has a lot of -14 moves for some reason, and that can be sometimes her weakness. Some of her commitment moves are like, so if she's playing against a character that has a 14 frame punisher, especially an easy 14 frame punisher like Low, Paul, um Akuma, who else has an easy 14 frame punisher? Shayu can struggle a little bit, but yeah, like Bryan does not have an easy 14 frame punisher. It's back forward too, so yeah, it's easier to launch some of the training moves like 111. You can, like, react in time and buffer it, but like moves that have one hit stun recovery like 443, it'll be much easier to launch with low, like just pressing 3+4, or just pressing back 3, neutral 3 with um Shayu, or back 3 with Geese. Like it will be much easier to do that. um okay, I added Shayu. I haven't talked about Kazumi and Shayu yet. Kazumi, perfect basic character, perfectly mid tier, and very good character. Can, like, that depends a lot on how perfect you can. But the thing is, you would have to almost always outplay your opponent in a Tekken sense, um, in order to win with her. So whenever somebody wins with another character, people can make excuses. Oh, the matchup was hard. Oh, didn't have enough matchup knowledge. Oh, the character was too strong. With Kazumi, if you're losing to Kazumi, it's most likely because you're getting outplayed. That's as simple as that. Especially at the higher level, like in lower level, yeah, you can cheese out with her fly stance sometimes, but yeah, not at the higher level. Um, okay, Leroy, solid A tier as well. Still has like still has easy parry, that can parry anything. Still has back 1+2, 12 frame mid can hit launcher, and it's only -10. So a lot of the time you can commit to it, like in specific situations where your opponent is trying to take frames. So people are always afraid to press against him because of the parry and the fast can hit launcher. Then he has an orbital, has health sweep, pretty much has everything. It's just nerfed down a lot, but pretty much has everything a character needs to operate. Um, and has ridiculous wall damage as well if you can master the the, the delayed hermit hop kick into the ground pound. Amazing damage, and it's the same with Katarina. That's why I rate her so high. Like, just the damage alone is so high. Leo, solid as A+. By the way, the characters in this tier list, like after the top five, none of the characters are in order. So don't go by that. I'm not like going by any hard order after the top five. This is my personal top five. After that, none of it is in any hard order. So Leo, like there was a lot of hoopla about Leo. Oh, down for two large just crouches whilst 92 is 15 frame. He's busted now and this and that. And while those things are true and he's much better than before, he did go up from like people saying he's B tier or A tier, and some people even saying he's like bottom low mid tier to like he's really good. Like his one weakness is still that his best moves come out at 16 frames and above, 17 frames and above. Like his mid, like his broken string back 1-4. It's still a slow move. So if you can pressure the character a little bit, or make sure to not let them get started or like have good stepping. Leo can struggle a little bit. So that's why Arslan tried the character and dropped it as well. He even said his downforward one is not good, and which I kind of sort of agree. And only has a high follow up, and also does not have the best tracking either. So that down for one, a good fast mid poke is really essential for having like performing well at the higher level, and that's why these characters, like some of these characters, are so high because they have that. Apart from like a few exceptions like Marduk, Bryan, most of these characters have really good fast mid checks, and that's really important. Um, all right, then we go Alisa, solid A+. And as I said, no order. She could probably be here as well. She's that good. Probably has one of the best movement and Viv punishers in the game. Back four, just such an easy Viv punisher. The only thing shit about her from experience is her combos. Her combos are very. I found them very inflexible, and also her wall combos are very weird as well. And for the love of God, I can't get the down 3-1 to connect consistently, and that's the one reason I don't. She's not in my top five played. Like I've done some like an aptitude test, and I've like a lot of people who have seen me play is like, oh, you're so viv punishment and movement oriented, and block punishment oriented. Why don't you play Alisa? And I've tried her, and she does well for me until I have to get to do her combos, and then it's just such a chore doing her combos. They're so shit. Just because of her combo potential, like her combos being so meh, I would just say A+. But otherwise, she has pretty much everything. Good mix-ups, good punishment, good block punishment, good pressure, um, good like good everything. Just slightly weak lows in the neutral, but destruction stance is so good. Destructive stance, whatever. That's so good. Any other character that's in those ranks? Let's say Yoshi is A tier, like the current buffs with the forward 1+2, and other couple of other buffs. Like he's a very solid character. He's mainly hampered by the people who operate him. Like we were talking the other day, and there's this like thing where you say when you play against a Yoshi player, you have to worry about Yoshi. A Yoshi player either has to kill you or he'll kill himself. So it's like so Yoshi player are their own worst enemies most of the time, because they want to be so creative all the time that they sometimes lose the basic sense of the basic Tekken game. It does happen a lot with them. Um, Lili, okay, this is weird. I should say A, honestly, but because her fast pokes like down forward one don't track. She does have some tracking issues on her fast pokes, so I should put her at A. But just because her movement and her sidestepping is so good, and in a game where most characters struggle to sidestep, and there are a lot of big tracking moves, she stands out. And then they gave her a magic four and forward four kind of hit. Like they gave her like anything. They made her so homogenized in terms of like plugging her weaknesses that now her weaknesses are gone, but her strengths remain. Like long range cartwheel that tracks, homing fast, rage drive that you can throw out from like pretty much any range, and it jails if the first hit connects, so you can't even duck the second hit. Like it's just such a ridiculous character. Her back turn 50-50 is probably the dumbest in the game. 13 frame mid launcher, and then a low that does over 50 damage and can even wall splat if you're near the wall like, at specific distances. And the mid is a 13 frame mid launcher from back turn. You can't. It's so hard to even like. People say you can fuzzy it, but I can't. I've tried. I've seen other people try as well. Oh, and there's like, oh, you can sidestep duck. Oh, that's just baloney. Like, oh, probably me or Arslan Ash will be able to do it at some point, but most people can't. And so our back ten 50-50 is just retarded. And apart from that, like just moving, her main weakness is her tracking on her fast pokes at the in the neutral, and that's why she can either even go down to A. I'll personally put her at A plus because of the movement. I just saw Lars B tier. Yeah, just uh, is he's an okay character. I'll actually put him at C. He's just he's one of those characters like you see like oh it's not like he doesn't have he has most of the tools, but just because his main gameplay like his best moves are locked in crouch or in stances that take forever to like come out, and you can be vulnerable during those things. That's why he can be such a weak character, but he is high risk high reward. So if you do get some down back for, I always say like if I'm playing against the last players, if I can block their down back four, they're useless. If I can't block their down back four, or if their timing is good that they counter hit me, then he can become a problem. That's my main thing when I play against last players. It's whether I can block their down back force or not. But yeah, he's okay. The good thing about Tekken is like the lowest tier characters and the highest tier characters have the least gap now than they ever had. That's one good thing. That's why you'll see like if you see some other tier lists, you might see some familiar names in the same tier list, but there might be some characters up or down. That's mainly because the gap in these characters is so small. As I said, like for example, Lili could go in A, this or this tier. But so because the gap in the characters are so small, and sometimes you have to take things by matchup as well. So that's why you gotta say it like, oh, okay, which one is good. But just uh, we go Asuka. I want to put her at A to be honest. But if I put her at A, I don't think Yoshi is stronger than her or the same strength as her. I'll probably put Yoshi at B. So yeah, like great, one of the best defensive characters. Really solid defense, good damage. Probably has almost every tool. Good crouching, and has a lot of like setups and gimmicks as well that you can apply. She's a very solid character all around. Um, Shaheen, um, yeah, he's a solid B plus character. Actually, nah, he's actually A. Because of his sneak stance. I'd put him here. He's a very good character. He's probably the most underrated character in this. Like, I'm so conflicted on him that I can put him here or I can put him here, and it'll still be okay. So I'm just gonna compromise between the two, and I'm gonna put him in A tier because if you play basic Tekken, he can play basic Tekken as well. He can play some gimmicky mind games as well, like cheesy mind games with like the slide and the hot kick, and with sneak being such a very powerful tool that can make opponents commit to a button, and good fast match. The only reason I would say like, oh, he would have been higher if his magic four wasn't so committal, because he can't get a launch out of magic four unless he commits to the whole high string 4-1 or 4-3, which are both high follow-ups. So if you feel like your opponent is committing to magic fours too much, just duck and launch their ass. Um, so yeah, that's his one weakness, I reckon. Negan, A tier. He has some tracking issue on his main pokes. That's the main issue. I would not put him at A plus, but pretty much has a lot of things. Intimidation stance is pretty good, and has always has the threat of a power crush just killing you. Like, so you always have to be careful about attacking him as well, and not telegraphing your moves. If you do, he can just power crush you to death sometimes. So that's another thing. Davulgin B plus. I'd say people. Yeah, he's probably bottom 15 now, bottom 10, bottom 15, but he's still a decent and good character just because of one nerf. Oh, everything is good, bad, and this and that. He still has solid poking. He has electric with tracking. He has while standing Veivu mix up as well. He has laser scraper, which covers even more tracking problems. He has probably the best punishment any Mishima has, because up off the Jin, because he has cans, so you don't have to electric even to like don't need to even electric to punish people. You can like, launch people with just with minus 15, just an easy can. Because he has less damage than Jin on that, so that does affect it a little bit. But apart from that, I'd say, and people have found, and I would have said B, but people have found solutions to the damage nerf on the wall combo, by dropping the first back two and then timing it in a way that the second one hits. And you still get the full damage that people were so pissed off by. So he's not as bad as people make him out to be, and he still has a launching hell sweep. He just has to mix it up with slightly more. Either he has to commit more for going for while standing two, or you have less reward on Oki with 4-4-2. Like up 4-4 was more reward because you get a guaranteed grounded move and you get a flip or Oki as well. Upward 4 was like such a good move to complement him. I would still say like you could still probably give that move back to him and he can go back to being an A plus character. Because then his 50-50 problem, like that bit of a problem that he has on 50-50 would be solved. Eliza, A tier. Yeah, solid A tier. Just because she has so much meter all the time, and she can break the rules even more often than Akuma. Again, down three range, shit down three range is what keeps her down, and also the damage output is lower than Akuma. You have to spend 2 meters to get the same damage that Akuma can get with one. So yeah, that's another. Eddy, I'm putting him up a tier above these characters because of his movement. I've tested him, and he's actually a much better character than people give him credit for. He's still worse than pretty much like 90% of the cast, 80% of the cast. But the fact that he has the best movement in the game has to count for something. And also, he has some really interesting matchups as well. Like there are characters that can't launch his Negativa stance, like can't float his Negativa stance. Sometimes those matchups can run in your favor because you have like something to annoy them with, and also that is also sometimes his weakness if he gets floated. Like for example, like this Kazuya is not Kazuya has a lot of bad matches, but then when you play against Eddy, and you're like, wow, easy back to four float, and the matchup becomes so much easier. Um, and yeah, with speaking of Kazuya, I haven't spoken about him yet. Just electrics and 50-50. Yeah, that's pretty much him. Apart from that, there's nothing too much to write home about. He does have good hitboxes on his mids, like down forward one. Like they're very chunky hitboxes. They hit very low as well. That sometimes can work really well against characters that have low profiles. And also, if you have wonky timing on your down forward twos and you can do perfect electrics, then if you can do perfect electrics, if your opponent can do perfect electrics consistently, he can even move up to A tier. I'll just call it, because then the damage output becomes so much higher, and they're gonna come, and you always have the threat of, if I do a an errant sidestep button, or just press out of turn, or try to disrespect, I can get fucked. So yeah, but because that's so unrealistic, I'm just gonna put him at B plus, just because of the execution requirement. Um, but he Makima, I find him one of the most cheapest characters in the game, especially when he knocks you down. Anything with a knockdown, any character with knockdown lows is just cheap, anyways. Like especially if they have knockdown lows in the neutral, like just I just found that so cheap. Um, but yeah, what we can move on. Miguel, uh, solid A tier, solid A tier. The issue with Miguel is sometimes like some of his like he struggles a little bit out of Savage. His best move are in Savage, and it's not that hard to go into Savage though. So that's why it's not like Lars. Oh, it's such a struggle to go into his stances. So that's why I'm gonna put him low. Now you can easily go into Savage from so many moves, and in the neutral as well. You almost go into Savage without losing too many there. And he has so many good counter hit lows from Savage and without Savage as well that can give you like guaranteed damage. And then you have some good. He has three power crushes as well, which can create doubt in the opponent's mind in good strings. He has very good strings, but he sometimes will knowledge check you. That's the one thing about him. Like he's that character, knowledge check character, and that will you will run into, and you'll be like, "Fuck, I was doing so well, and now I just can't beat this one character because I don't know when to step one particular string, when to duck one particular string, or when to interrupt or sidewalk a particular stance." So yeah, he's that type of character. Very solid. Can yield really good results. Lidia B plus. She's still a solid character. She can do really well. She can beat higher tier characters as well. But the main issue is is her tracking. She has pretty weak tracking, and especially if you go into stance, like you try to apply her stance pressure, she can get stepped really easily. So that's her main issue. And her health sweep got 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 butchered. That's one issue as well. Like you have to be legit tip range. Like her health sweep clean hit range is even worse than. Sometimes it feels like it's even worse than Eliza down three clean hit range. That's how bad it is. And she doesn't trip. She doesn't. The second hit doesn't even come out if you don't trip. Kind of like that. Ganryu, very is another character like Miguel. You won't run into him in a while, and you'll be like, "Oh, he's such a busted character." But he is slow to get going. He does rely on some gimmicks, and his punishment. He does suffer a little bit in the punishment department because he does have a mid launch, like a standing launcher that you can launch at 14 frame theoretically, but it's high execution, and most people are not going to be using that for at least, if they do use it, they'll use it for 15 frames, and even then you're committing a little bit, because if you are off by a frame, then you get docked and launched. So he doesn't get any launcher, like any like easy launcher till like 16 frames. Even either crouching or standing, doesn't have a 10 frame jab. You have to headbutt, which is punishable in itself. Yeah, there are some limitations with the character, but in saying that, like his when he does get going and he has momentum, he's pretty terrifying, and he has some cool stuff that you can exploit. Dragunov, I didn't explain till now. Dragunov and King. Dragunov just got power crept by most of the cast. Down to is still great, and I would say with down to buff, I'd say he could probably be like one of the best character in this category. Um, but yeah, the main issue with Dragunov is of course sometimes the tracking on his fast pokes, and his even his Hwoarang too sometimes can get stepped really easily. So he has trouble maintaining pressure, or it's just that the work that you have to put him with Dragunov to get the thing, he can get so many more things without putting that much work with some of the characters. King, it's like if you can if you can apply his throws really well, he can even shoot up to A. But I'll put him in B plus because you can play him without throws a little bit because he does have decent counter hit game and his neutral is good as well. But I'd say like he does suffer a little bit. He does suffer a little bit in terms of like he is slow to get going. He's the same issue like 14 frame down for one doesn't have fast mid pokes. So you have to rely a lot on applying throws in order for you to do fast interrupts. That's where you can if you're like either if they break the throws or they duck and launch you, so that can be an issue with them. Um, with that's why I'd say Armor King might be slightly better than him. Like this is a very unpopular opinion. I think a lot of people and I get why people would say that oh King has a better throw game and he has counter hit game as well. Yada yada yada. But with Armor King's some of the Armor King's buffs recently, his 4 neutral 2 is better than King. He has a he has better whiff punishment in a sense that if you're at range 3 and somebody whiffs, yeah, you need a little bit of execution, but launching with a dark upper is better than just doing a forward 2-1, which all king has at range. So you launch somebody with dark upper, that's 80 damage without even ward right there. And then you have good almost as good as a throw game as king. And then on top of that, you also get some really nasty counter hit game. While studying two, like I think it's 12 frame and it's a counter hit launcher. Yikes, and it's safe. It's not even -10 like Bryan's. I'm pretty sure it's not. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like Bryan's while studying 12 frame counter hit launcher. Yeah, you have to you can commit to the second hit, but that's punishable as well. So and he has a lot of evasion, like compared to King. He has so many moves that have so much evasion and also very easy uh, punishers on some. Like there are some characters, there are some matchups where like there are certain characters that can't punish certain moves, but this guy can. I'll just give you an example. Geese does a forward 4. Um, only 2 characters will punish him in the entire game. Oh, there are 3 probably. There are 3. Gigas can sometimes as well, but Armor King and Feng's shoulder will both hit him. Like that's what I'm talking about. Like he has really good punishment, and he has good counter hit game, and his lows are especially with 4-4 neutral 2 his low game becomes so good, and down 4-1 he has a and the thing that he has on King in my opinion is his counter hit game with the down 4-2 homing. You can commit to the second hit if you think you might not get a launch, or just do the first hit and get a counter hit launch. And then the CD1 you can apply plus frame pressure from so far away as well. And if it connects on range, that's also a launcher. Um, then evasive moves, so many things that he has on King. The King has to the reason I put King below him is King would have to apply has to rely more on the pro aspect compared to this guy. He's 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 more rounded, as I would say. So, like that's my opinion. Right. All right, and then we go to Lei. Lei can be in this one as well, to be honest. But I'll just put him here because this section is looking a little bit lonely. But the main thing is Lei has gotten a bit of really good buffs, but good anti-lay can still like if you have a good anti-lay, most lay players won't be able to do much, and he still struggles in like tournaments and shit. There are very few. There's like just in Pakistan, there's like some lay players that do well, but if you have good lay anti-lay, you can interrupt him out of the out of the razor rush if he goes into stance. Like if he goes into this one thing that a lot of people oh so many stances, how do I deal with him? The one thing you need to know about fighting against lay players, if you think there's a lay player is going to commit to a stance, move from a stance, and if he's going into that stance from a block button, or from sidestep one, which is plus on block, and you go into Tiger, and some that's where you can, they can apply pressure, but it doesn't have good range, and it comes from sidestep, and it's a high. Apart from that move, if he's going from stance from any move, you can pretty much interrupt him and get him out of that stance. So you either hit him and he'll block it and get out of the stance, or he'll just get hit himself. So that's a very effective way to deal with him most of the time. And he does have some stupid 50-50 though, and some ways of getting out of certain situations because of his grounded stance that other players don't have. But still, like if you have a good anti-lay, you can deal with him. Um, I haven't talked about Josie too much. Josie, the reason she's here is just because on a good day, Josie can wreck you, but that's when you haven't played a lot of Josies, and she is throwing the kitchen sink of moves at you, and you're not sure what's happening, and then she destroys you. She has like the thing about her is like she has a lot of the tools that other characters have, but she has inferior versions of them. But that's why she's solo. Like her main down forward one poke is for crying out loud. It's so slow, and she has neutral three to cover for that, but neutral three does not have any tracking. So it becomes like a this thing where yeah she does have some tools that does work for her. Switch stance is really good, but like she just doesn't compare to other characters in the same way. But make no mistake, if I see a random Josie, I'm still a bit wary and afraid because I'm like, oh, how do I fucking play against this character and which type of Josie I'm gonna face, which type of mix-ups. But once you do know a Josie player and how they play, it's not that hard to stop them. Um, Falcon Brown just lost all of his lows are launch punishable, apart from one in even against Kazuya that doesn't even apply. And then mid lost his main mid counter hit launcher 3+4. Like it still has it, but it's unsafe now, so it doesn't. He cannot like do a counter hit game. So a lot of the times you'll see like Bakuman players have been reduced to applying a lot of mindless strings, which feel mindless, but they have to commit to a lot of strings, which can blow you up as well if you're not prepared. But if you're prepared, then a Falcon player can get fucked as well. So he's become like a very high committal string character, which in the higher at the highest level of play can get destroyed. And also the fact that if you think your opponent Pokemon player, like they're going for a lot of cancels, you either sidestep or interrupt them with a fast magic for fast counter hit, and you'll be dandy. Gigas slow as fuck. Has these the only thing that keeps him in a game is his range, and if an opponent can negate his range, then he gets blown up. Um, Bears are the last one I want to talk about. They have the similar issue as Gigas, but then they have moves that have even worse range than Gigas. But there are certain situations where Bears have decent matchups, like with Eliza or some higher tier characters can struggle against Bears depending on how their hitboxes are interacting. And also, a player has to be ready. Like if a player is ready, have a good anti-bear, they won't have that much of a problem. Bear players' main strength is surprise, is you not knowing the matchup or not playing enough bears to be sharp enough to recognize the setups or the moves in time. So yeah, that's about it. And I think this is looking pretty good. I'd say this is my final second seven tier list. If I study it more, I might change one or two positions more, but I don't want to just go too much into it and just rely on my first instinct on what I'm going for here. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and give a like, and please subscribe if you can. I pump out videos pretty much daily, and good YouTube clips, and I will be looking into providing, now that Tekken 8 is coming. I'll be looking into providing more character guides, combo guides, and whatnot. So be on the lookout for that as well. Yeah, have a good one, and hope you all enjoyed it.